Today's episode of Wiki Sift is brought to you by Outer Space.
All right, you're stuck on a desert island forever.
Mm-hmm.
You can only have one kind of lollipop, one brand of lollipop. What do you have?
How many? Does that mean I have infinite of that lollipop?
Infinite of any variety of that lollipop. Doesn't even need to be a specific flavor, but it has to be a specific brand, like the delivery vehicle.
Okay. In that case, Tootsie Rolls, because I need to make a successful...
Fuck yeah, Tootsie Pops!
Not because of the flavor, but because I expect the taffy to last longer in salt water than the conventional stickiness when I make a raft out of lollipops.
Zero, what about you?
Dum-Dums.
You know, I can see Dum-Dums based on sheer variety of flavor are fantastic.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Oh, no, wait, what's the fucking lollipop that's got gum at the center?
Oh, those are Blow Pops.
Well, that's a Blow
Yeah,
Pop.
Blow Pops. Fuck it, I changed my name to Blow Pops.
Oh, man. So you like chewing broken glass with your gum?
It makes me strong. It shows I lack fear.
Wow, this Blow Pop tastes like blood.
It means I won against mine enemy.
At least most of the time when we start with a tangent, I understand how we got there.
You don't need to understand, Tom. This is what you pay me for.
This is what you don't pay me for.
And speaking of chewing on broken glass, did you hear the news?
Bold assumption Mike is being honest that I'm being paid and that I'm not just gaslighting him to be mad at Tom.
I'm afraid to ask.
Did you hear the news? You hear about this? You see this? You hear about this?
Yes, Robert Downey Jr. is now the Dr. Doom. I don't care.
Oh, that
No,
news?
who gives a fuck about that? The guys who invented Skibbity Toilet are suing Gary's Mod.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Why?
They sent Gary's Mod a DMCA because people are making Skibbity Toilet stuff for Gary's Mod. You know, using the stuff that came with Gary's Mod the same way that they did to make Skibbity Toilet.
Every day I find a new reason to be despondent in our species.
Every day I kind of care a little less.
Okay, but completely unrelated to all of that, let's start the episode.
They've got to start guarding their property because Michael Bay is going to make the movie. So you have to make sure you safeguard that sweet, sweet intellectual property for the Skibbity Toilet cinematic universe.
I think you found the one thing that I would really actually be excited to see Michael Bay adapt. I know nothing about Skibbity Toilet, but
I wish that was a joke. It's true.
What?
Michael Bay is in talks to do a Skibbity Toilet cinematic universe.
What?
You haven't heard this?
Yeah, you haven't heard this?
I was convinced you were joking.
No, that's real.
That's real.
Yeah, that's real.
Welcome to
Are you gonna
the
start
universe.
the show, Tom, or what?
Tom, are you okay?
The show's
Welcome
the show's
to a special
canceled.
episode of Wiki Sift, a shallow dive into pop culture and fandom. Today, I can't.
Sure you can. You just gotta believe in yourself, son.
You gotta believe in the heart of the cards, Yug.
Oh man!
On this week's episode of Wiki Sift,
This is
as opposed to last time when Tom. I still think that might be my favorite fumble delivery in existence is when Tom casually dropped that he was expecting his second child last episode. But no, now that we've officially turned Wiki Sift into a daytime soap opera, it's my week because I get to announce that I have cancer.
Stevo.
Fucking mad bastard.
I'm serious. I literally have thyroid cancer. I have to have another surgery in October.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Are you for real?
Yeah, he's for real.
I am 100% serious.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Can we like not start
No,
Wiki Sift on this note?
I'm trying to make your fumble look less bad, Tom. This is why I'm your friend.
Fumble.
All you've done is made me feel sad.
This is the nuclear option of saving someone from a minor
and achy.
Look, the good news is by the end of this year, hopefully I'll never have to worry about this again. I literally have, like, It's so weird, my life sometimes. I feel like I'm a Larry David written sitcom, because when you hear a medical professional say, if you get a cancer, hope that it's this one.
Oh, and you have that one.
And I have that one.
Oh, fuck. Well, okay.
No, serious.
Okay, all bullshit aside, Steve, I'm glad you have the one.
No, exactly. But I love the idea that Wiki Sift has evolved into this daytime soap opera, because at some point we need to write in, and I remembered this time that roving gang of protostars is behind it all.
Okay, we found something to exceed my "she was the black one" comment.
Oh, thank God the show's not more popular. We're gonna get canceled.
People like Wiki Sift for how intelligently we discourse.
You okay, Tom?
Stevo, you revealing that you have cancer for the funnies is second only to you actually having cancer as the worst thing that has happened involving all of this.
Don't worry, we'll get a new worst one day.
No,
I don't know how I'm gonna salvage this. Let's just.
I actually really like the
episode.
idea that somehow the next episode either Zero comes in with an arbitrarily osmose bit of drama that has nothing to do with it, just so he can try to one up everyone else.
My big toe has been surgically grafted to my face and I can no longer walk.
Or smell.
All right.
Okay. Welcome to a special episode of Wiki Sift, a shallow dive into pop culture and fandom. Today we've turned Wiki Sift into our own true crime podcast.
You know, if you lighten your definitions on the word special, every episode's special.
I was worried he was going to say on this very special episode of Wiki Sift, parentheses, the cancer episode. This is like
Stevo,
a Walker.
Steve, I've raised money for cancer research. Don't make me laugh at cancer.
Look, I get to do this now. It's becoming part of my repertoire.
You can. I just don't know if it's a good idea for the tone of the episode.
2 years I spent doing cancer research, and I'm laughing at a cancer, raising money for cancer.
If nothing else, having this really shows you that there is no such thing as a joke you should not make.
I think you think of a few.
Are you sure about that? Because...
Okay, not in terms of inappropriate jokes, as in jokes you think are funny that you keep inside because you think people might not understand it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
No.
All right.
Steve tried to make it serious, and Tom ain't going with it.
I'm just gonna diplomatically nod and say yes, and let's move on.
Steve-O, I'm gonna message you the terrible joke that I had. Okay.
I can't believe you planned this. You were bragging to me about how you were gonna interrupt my show with the best thing ever.
Somehow I don't think cancer is the best thing ever, Steve-O, but...
No!
Cancer, it's fab.
What?
Man, you guys have a way with wording. I haven't been fucked this hard in a while. I feel like I need a cigarette.
Wiki Sift, everybody.
The worst thing is I don't think I can cut any of that out because we've said it
you
so much.
Tangibly.
All right.
I live to make Tom's life more difficult.
Don't you?
Well, Wiki Sift is normally a willfully ignorant fandom podcast where we don't actually directly consume media and just read what fans wrote about online. But today things are going to be a little different. In previous years, we made up fake Star Trek novels and nearly impossible movies. But this year we're making up crime. Just for today, we are a fake true crime podcast.
Yeah, we are.
I mean, it feels like a tradition, I think, at this point, for our August episodes to have one person like not finish, because the first year Stevo wasn't able to do it. The second year Ian wasn't quite finished. And today I just kind of finished mine like 15 minutes before we started recording, and it's like it's a crappy first draft. So
I wrote this over several days. It oscillates in weird, fucked up ways.
So let's just get my broken one out of the way first, if you guys are ready to go.
Were those 7 days spent like in an isolated cottage in Ottawa or something?
They should have been.
Like
that's
how a horror movie starts.
And this is
like an
ends.
Alan Wake DLC.
Alan, I wish what I wrote made it into an Alan Wake
It's not
DLC.
a lake.
It would have been a better game.
It's an ocean.
It's not.
Mike, were you holed up in a cottage wearing a smoking jacket and writing about 400 gallons of rhino piss?
Nope. But I was holed up in the back of a library in Mississauga in a shitty t-shirt writing about a rocket penis.
All right, who wants to start reading mine?
Where is yours?
It is... Oh, I did not send you guys the document. That is an important...
Wow!
Hi, everyone. Okay.
It's a good thing your annual review is coming up, Tom.
We need access, Tom.
We need access, Tom. Tom, we need access.
We need access,
Request
Tom.
access.
Anyone
We need
with
access,
Tom,
You access, Tom.
Request
Access. Access.
Dad, let me in. Let me in, please. Daddy, why'd
I
you lock
promise
the
I'll
door?
be good.
Let me in. The spooky, scary
It's
man
supposed
is
to
out
get
here with the axe. Let me
-13
in.
tonight, Dad.
All right, Daddy just needs to pop out and pick up some baby formula.
Cigarette
That's what you
flavored
said
baby
before you left for
formula.
13 years. Please don't leave for
was the
13
joke I
years
was going
again.
for.
I know it was. I'm ruining it by pointing it out.
All right. So, Tom, we've got yours, the Rockthorpe Speedo murders.
I'm a terrible son.
Who do you want to start this off, knowing that one of us will do terrible voices?
Maybe I should get Stevo to start off, because he's going to run out of energy by the end of the night.
Bold
Go
of you
and
to
see.
think that I have vocal energy right now. I have a screaming toddler at home for, let me check my watch, the last 32 days. He just won't stop. I will have about 10 minutes to do funny voices, and then I'll sound like Mrs. Bighead from Rocko's Modern Life for the remainder of the night.
And that's a bad thing because...
You know, that actually doesn't sound like a bad idea.
I was going to say...
All right, start. Welcome to a special episode of Wiki Sift.
You shaved
Stevo,
for
that's
me.
You have to read my true crime thing.
So there's a document within a document. Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, we're meta like that.
Is this one of those ARGs I've heard so much about?
I hope to God your chat likes this, Tom.
You know what? If there's an ARG called the Rockthorpe Speedo Murders, I'd be totally on board.
I'm worried about crossover.
The neutrality of the style of writing in this article is disputed. The Rockthorpe Speedo Murders are a series of murders that happened in New Jersey in the summer of 2023. Color me surprised. On May 24th, Richard Brambles of Rockthorpe, New Jersey, returned home from work to find his house unusually warm. On checking his air conditioner unit, he discovered the body of an extremely muscular 80-year-old man had been stuffed inside. The man was wearing a Speedo. Brambles immediately called the police, who conducted a thorough investigation and determined the cause of death was poison. The body was later identified to be that of Ernesto.
Who killed Paul Bunyan from Zombie Nation, then?
The body was later identified to be that of Ernesto
Nobody
Zamboni.
gonna laugh at that. Come on!
A bodybuilder.
Tom, you run a fucking thing about weird video games. You should know Zombie Nation.
Like Samurai Zombie Nation, the one that where you fight the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, and the second boss is a big, muscular, elderly Paul Bunyan in a Speedo.
Oh, yeah, that guy. Yes.
I feel like Ian needs to get a cardboard crown with weird video games written on it and have you give it to him, Tom. Because you kind of just were dethroned there.
For like 5 seconds.
No, I stumped your ass.
I just didn't
after
get
I explained it.
Away.
All right, Mike, we have a new Dark Overlord to worship.
That's okay. I've always wanted to kill a king.
And I've always wanted to be killed, so...
Mike leans in the silhouette of the Burger King.
Not gonna lie, there is a large part of my psyche that hopes that Ian gets any form of governmental power just so I can slay him in a
That's just the way it goes sometimes, baby.
Gosh.
If I find out Ian in any way works as a janitor in a government building, I will come with a sniper rifle.
This is so
gonna
House of Cards. Oh my gosh.
We're gonna make the Rays of Casimir play. Let's get on with Tom's thing, though.
Wow, that accelerated very quickly.
Yeah.
A bodybuilder who competed in elderly bodybuilding competitions throughout the United States. Shark Lifting 2, my favorite Flash game. Police were unable to determine a motive as he had no known enemies. On May 27th, the janitor of San Morris High School found the body of a second elderly man, also muscular and also wearing a Speedo, covered in glass. He had apparently fallen or been pushed through the school's skylight. The body could not be identified. Police ruled it an accident. Frustrated at the lack of results, Zamboni's granddaughter, Priscilla Bell, hired a private investigator. She also took to Twitter. What's Twitter? Do you mean X?
Nah, because X is going to give it to you.
And X keeps taking it away.
X, the Eliminator! She also took to Twitter about the incident, which quickly led to rampant speculation by other Twitter users. How did you expect me to do funny voices in this? There's no quotes. And a Reddit thread about the investigation. Online speculators attributed the deaths to a variety of sources, most notably several suspected serial killers, such as the Cape May Bone Strangler. That's a mouthful. The New England Oopsie Killer, who was believed to have committed a string of murder-suicides along the East Coast.
Wait a minute. How do you commit a string of those?
You know, that does seem something that the East Coast elites would brag about.
Oopsie.
Oopsie. Oopsie. And Buffalo Bertley, who, it's Tiny Tim is a serial killer.
Oh, that was very close to a spit take.
Complete with the fucking ukulele. And Buffalo Bertley, who allegedly had made a woman suit for his dog out of fish.
Oh, I have so many questions about
I want to
that.
read that one more time. Allegedly had made a woman suit for his dog out of fish.
I have so many questions about that suit. And I don't want any one of them to be answered.
Not a winning slot machine there, woman suit, dog fish.
I have so many questions that I want none of them answered.
None of these suspected
I have
killers.
questions about it myself. I'm questioning my creative process a lot.
Don't worry, Tom. Don't worry. Something worse is going to rear its ugly head in about an entry.
None of these suspected. Do you guys just want me to read all three since I didn't do the homework? Though I feel like that defeats the purpose of having so many guests.
Yeah, I'll just leave the call. It's fine.
You can tag out when you feel led to.
I would like to read a portion of all three, if I might so indulge myself.
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. That's fantastic. I'll read the first page of this one. None of these suspected killers had an MO that involved killing elderly bodybuilders. On May 2nd, Priscilla Bell's private investigator, Ron Copeland, told her over the phone that he managed to get access to the autopsy report on the second body, and that while the cause of death was blunt force trauma from the fall, poison was also detected. But later that day, he called her to tell her that he was given the wrong report and that the real report contained nothing out of the ordinary. Wow, we almost had some progress there. This is very FNF of us, just reading a bunch of different fan fictions here. On May 3rd, the mayor of Rockthorpe, Hank Copeland, made an announcement that the two dead bodies were not connected and police still believed the second death to be an accident. Bell found the announcement suspicious and, noticing the mayor had the same last name as the investigator she hired, suspected the two men were related. She consulted a second private investigator named Jim Harvey. Tom, were you having trouble coming up with names?
Yes, I did. A lot. I used a random generator that randomly generates names because
I was going to accuse you of needing to find a better name generator, but wow, that's too on the nose.
This is the worst writer's block I've ever had in my life.
It's hard to write fake true crime, though.
It really is.
I offered you guys an out. I said I was having writer's block, and I said, can we do something else? And we're like, true crime works for us. So I said, fine.
See, that's what you get for having people that love and encourage you, you dumb motherfucker.
Yeah, you stupid piece of shit. We love you, asshole.
Yeah, I was going to say, your first mistake was thinking you had friends, because you do. She consulted a second private investigator named Jim Harvey, who confirmed within the day that Hank and Ron Copeland were first cousins and suggested that Ron was told to mislead her. She hired him on the spot and fired Copeland. All right, I'm tapping out. It goes to Ian.
On May 7th, police identified the body of the second victim as Frankward Wall. Frankward?
Oh my gosh. We've hit Cal Ripken Jr.'s baseball level of fake names.
I have a story about that I'll tell later.
Jim Bob, you barnacle head. Hi, Frankward. Who competed in many of the same bodybuilding competitions as Zamboni and confirmed that two of their other colleagues were missing. On May 8th, a third body was found. Maxwell Gladius, a 76-year-old fellow bodybuilder and large sword, was found wearing a Speedo stuffed into a pizza oven in a family restaurant. On May 9th, Gladius's nephew, Henri Gladius, contacted Bell to aid in the investigation. He pointed out that one of top-ranked competitors in the bodybuilding competition was Mayor Copeland's uncle, Dirk Rodman.
I don't know what I expected, but I got it.
Dick Penis Man.
This is the part where I tried to coast it on silly names.
She called Harvey and demanded to know why this didn't come up in his investigation and was promptly hung up on. She promptly hired a third private investigator named Earl Horwitz.
This was all promptly.
On May 12th, Priscilla Bell returned home late from work and found her babysitter asleep on the couch. When she went upstairs to check on her 1-year-old son Matthew, she found he had been dressed in a Speedo as a warning.
Oh,
no! But how shall he get the gains?
Where do you get a Speedo for a 1-year-old?
Well, you just get a Speedo and you shrink it.
Oh, okay. With a speeder shrinker. Yeah, sorry. Stupid question.
Yeah.
On May 13th, Earl Horwitz called Bell and notified her that one champion elderly bodybuilder who went by the name Hans Doodleford. Yeah, you were just leaning into the silly names. Shame on you for that one. Shame on you. Was actually named Harold Harvey and was the father of her previous investigator, Jim Harvey.
Yeah, Hans Doodleford was his bodybuilder name. It wasn't his real name.
Oh, okay. That's fine then.
Yeah.
Discussion of the Speedo murders blew up and was being widely discussed on a variety of social media. For the next several days, she was harassed by fans of elderly bodybuilding, saying she had ruined the sport. On May 17, Horwitz handed Bell a detailed report and advised that it be sent to the police and the news media simultaneously. He offered to submit himself without using her name to help lower her profile in the public eye. She asked him not to release it to the news agencies yet because she was still fearful for her safety, but 2 days later, on May 19th, the report was released without her consent. Richard Brambles, the man who discovered the first body, had stayed in touch with Bell, and when she told him the report was sent to the news without her consent, He informed her that her current investigator, Earl Horvitz, was his brother-in-law. Bell was upset but did not want to go with a fourth investigator and kept him. No more bodies were discovered in the next 2 weeks. However, on June 1st, police were called into a hostage situation in Atlanta where an apparent copycat attacked a nursing home and held 11 elderly men hostage and forced them to wear Speedos. The perpetrator was arrested without anyone physically hurt, but the incident made international headlines. All right, Mike, go! Go, Mike, go, go!
I can't! Stevo's making me laugh! I can't! Stevo's making me laugh! I'm getting my shit together!
What's Stevo doing? He's been silent for like the last page.
So briefly, Tom,
yeah?
I don't know if you're familiar. Cal Ripken Jr.'s baseball for the Super Nintendo. Oh, you have
the entire thing?
You put the whole thing in the chat and I was reading it.
Yes. I actually asked in a SNES hacking Discord at some point if somebody could export all of the player names from there.
Chip Handy Boy.
Okay, on June 7th is where I'm going, right?
Better than your names, I'm sorry.
I'm starting from on June 7th, right?
Greerwax!
Yes.
Greerwax!
On June 7th, Mayor Copeland made a statement acknowledging the furor towards him and Rodman on social media and provided alibis for 2 of the murders that he said proved his uncle's innocence. The same day, a 4th body turned up in a trampoline park. Not trampoline park, a trampoline park, implying we have more than one. The victim was 91-year-old Brant Huckabee, who really should have seen this coming, because he was the last remaining competitor police had been searching for. As with the others, he was wearing a Speedo, but was also wearing aviator goggles and holding a United States Air Force pamphlet. The cause of death was determined to be a heart attack, but poison was found in his system, which likely caused the heart attack. So they weren't wrong, just inaccurate. That following day, That following day, June 8th, Horwitz called Bell to inform her that the police initiated a search of Planet Fitness that hosted the Grandpa Universe competition earlier the previous month and found a laundry basket full of Speedos that had all been soaked in cyanide, implying several things, including that they should have investigated there first.
Do you need to go to the beach?
While Bell suspected the murderer to be Dirk Rodman or Hans Doodleford, Horwitz found it difficult to find a motive, as both Rodman and Doodleford had consistently been winners in these.
They were all wrong. It was Chip Handy Boy.
And the victims were all much lower ranked. Neither suspect would have gained anything by eliminating them as competition, except that sweet erection. Horwitz was also found that Rodman had formerly served in the Air Force.
If you're going to make jokes, don't make it sound like that's in the text. I did not write that.
No. Anyway, but said that the evidence... Steve, you mad fuck. But said that the evidence found
out... That's not a name! Darth what is not a name.
On Huckabee's body didn't make sense and was likely planted there. Over the next several weeks, social media users called for the arrest of both Rodman and Doodleford. On June 19th, police in Columbus,
Can you just say Doodleford one more time on its own?
Doodleford.
Yeah.
On June 19th, police in Columbus, Ohio were called in response. Guys, you gotta kill me. Police in Columbus, Ohio. If you are listening to this podcast online, the message is going out across the chat at the same time, and we're just throwing stupid names at each other. So it's
these are all official names from. I fully believe that these people existed, because how can you come up with a name like Greer Wax on your own?
Anyway, where was I? Okay, here we go. On June 19th, police in Columbus, Ohio were called to respond to an active shooter inside of a clothing fucking piss Booth Whipley clothing store. They arrived and quickly apprehended the shooter,
of an old car,
who surrendered immediately. You're not going to stop me. The shooter's identity was not released to the public due to his being a minor. That's a minor OR, not ER. No one was hurt in the incident, as the store was in fact closed for renovations. The shooter had broken in, dressed the mannequins in Speedos, and used them for target practice. The shooter admitted he had done it as part of a Speedo crime TikTok trend. On June 20th, responding to an anonymous tip, police raided a cottage belonging to Hans Doodleford and found a large bucket labeled poison in black marker on masking tape. The bucket had trace amounts of cyanide. Judor was arrested in his home an hour later, but was released the next morning. On June 22nd, we're responding to an anonymous noise complaint to Dirk Rodman's residence to find the drawer jar. When they looked inside, they found
I'm really glad. Again, I've invoked Brazzers once already today, but I'm really glad that Brazzers sprung for, like, the refined British narrator for their latest movie. This is a great description.
When they looked inside, they found an unloaded revolver lying on the floor, covered in masking tape with the words, "I am the Speedo murderer," written on it. The next day, June 23rd, Mayor Hank Copeland made another statement again, reiterating that his uncle had been at a family gathering and a falafel eating contest.
All right, Ian, I see your Greer wax and raise you Roble Egsley with a W.
I could do this. At the time of the murders.
I've seen that as a surname, not as a first name.
Within hours, a YouTube video was uploaded by true crime podcaster Rebecca Crime. The 2-minute video just started with Copeland's announcement and ended with her saying, obviously both Dougal, Ford, and Rodman committed 2 of the 4 murders, and we're trying to pin the crimes on each other. The video received over 6 million views within the first week. Do we want me to do the last 2 paragraphs?
Sure.
All right. Okay. Just to watch me shut down as you guys keep fucking sending messages?
No, hey, you don't have to look at the chat.
I am not wired like that, and you... That's like saying don't look at the tits when they go past me. It's just how it goes.
Mike, do not press this big red button.
Of course I'm going to push the button. I'm going to sit my ass on it. On June 26th, Hans Doodleford had a conversation with Dirk Rodman at a 24-hour fitness that turned violent. Police arrived on the scene 40 minutes later to find the 2 engaged in an Indian leg wrestling match. They were escorted from the building, after which police found both offenders' cars had been filled with the evidence of murders.
I need to illustrate for all of those who are watching in post and not seeing the chat or are listening on audio the entire time. The chat that we have for the current Wiki Sift hosts, Tom included, are posting things to distract Mike.
Oh, you can't beat
Tom is doing bad at his own show.
I'm sorry, but
they were escorted from the building, after which police found
Stunch Grusby.
After which police found both offenders' cars had been filled with evidence of the murders, including forged confession notes, various articles of clothing laced with poison, and weapons hastily labeled as being poisoned, including a hockey stick with a knife taped to it, and a jackhammer with the word murder weapon carved to its side. Both men were charged with first-degree murder as well as accessory to murder and conspiracy to commit murder. Prosecutors argued that while they had not formally conspired with each other, their competition to blame their murders on each other encouraged each other to commit more murders. The charges of accessory and conspiracy were later dropped, but both were found guilty of murder and sentenced to 50 years in prison. On July 31st, Mayor Hank Copeland was arrested for obstruction of justice. On January 29th, 2024, he was found guilty by a jury of his peers. However, he since appealed for the verdict and is currently still awaiting judgment on the appeal process. Despite being found guilty on February 12th, he was re-elected as mayor. I did it.
Yes, you did. Very proud of you, honey. Nice cannonball. So very proud.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I don't care about your praise when you
there are so... You know what? The bar is so low in terms of what I feel constitutes a daily accomplishment. Bravo. Go you.
Thank you. All right. Is it time for me to intro mine?
Sure it is, Ferdy Bird.
Stunch.
All right.
Grusby.
Okay, so I need to tell you guys.
Right, here's a challenge for you. Go to the list of names
I will.
From Cal Ripken Jr.'s baseball and pick your stripper name.
I will.
Mine is definitely going to be Ivan Oldcar.
Greer wax, it's easy.
I don't know how you guys peer pressured me into ruining my own podcast.
All right, so I need to explain something with this. After so many of you did not laugh consistently at the fucking wiki page I did for Lord Deathman, I wrote something so inflamed and designed to make me and me alone laugh that it is here for all of you.
I respect that process. I think that is a good approach.
Okay, I don't give a shit if anyone listening to this, watching this, or reading this likes what I've written, it made me laugh. And in
So
the end, Cephalicism is what led to this. I give you the rocket cock killer.
Okay. So I have two things.
Already?
The first thing is the document that Mike sent to everybody is titled The Rocket Murder Mystery .docx. Now, Mike did make it clear that I believe you said you were writing this on a work computer and you didn't want to. Okay.
I didn't want to get flagged with the rocket cock killer as a file name.
Okay, but murder is less of a sus word than cock.
Do you know how much true crime
on
books?
A work machine.
You know how many true crime books we have in my work?
Xavier has been a very big fan lately of a special on PBS Kids, a 45-minute like half movie about reading called Rocket Saves the Day. Why did you murder Rocket? The dog was adorable.
Oh, it's more complicated than that. Go ahead. Read it. I dare you.
The Rocket Cock Killer. Now I don't want to know if there's Rule 34 of this special because I don't need my life to be ruined. Is this by Brett or for Brett?
Brett is narrating it.
I think the format is like an actual true podcast here instead of a wiki page like I did. So
yeah.
So
well,
I guess that's
I read
what
the
we'll
stage
lean
directions. So Brett,
okay.
Good day, everyone. I'm Brett Ting and abetting.
What?
I'm breading and abetting.
You guys have a long haul if you get stuck on the first and the second sentence.
I have been doing my absolute best to be respectful of people. That was a really fucking stupid joke.
It gets worse. It gets worse.
Can I share what Big Mike said to me just a few days ago? He said, I need you to know that the true crime entry I'm making is now 4 pages long and is awful stupid. I said, that's everything I could have hoped for. He said, I wrote parts of it to upset you.
I did profoundly talk.
My mind immediately jumped to, good day, everyone. I'm breading and abetting, and I'm smokes too much. Well, you better cut down a little then. Oh, I get it.
All right, let's get through this.
Today, I will take you on a complex conspiracy of lies, counterfeit fireworks, Chinese mafia, cattle beef grade manipulation, and murder. This is the Nightcast True Crime Pod. Wait, so are we like officially launching our own like in reality sub podcast right now?
If Tom's brave enough.
Hey, cattle beef grade manipulation. I was coerced into doing that at a former workplace.
This is where Wiki Sift crosses over into Welcome to Night Vale.
I see now what you were talking about writing stuff to upset me because you just said this is a podcast and immediately has Brett turned towards a camera that shouldn't be there.
That's one of the things I wrote to piss you off.
Brett turned towards the camera and says, Law and Order, done, done.
Anything in an asterisk is either a cue of some kind.
Knowing Stevo, he's just going to read them.
Sure.
I mean, I am... Okay, here's the thing. I am behind Brett as making the Nightcast True Crime Podcast the best that it can be on a budget. That he has a limited amount of resources, he cannot afford sound effects, so he does his best impersonation of the Law and Order dun-dun.
We better move this along because I'm straining to not read ahead and I've already seen too much.
That sounds like a you problem, Tom.
It is a me problem, but I'm asking you to support me in this issue that I have.
And we cover, Brett turns towards a second camera, cymbal clanging, all the murder. Brett turns to an upskirt camera, sheep bleeding. That's not just murder. The case of the Rocket Cock Killer is a strange one.
What?
Is a strange one, to be sure. Mostly because everyone who first hears about it wonders if we are talking about roosters or penises. Rest assured, dear reader, by the end of this... looks towards camera. Yes, reader. By the end of this story...
I'm hung up on something. I'm sorry, I'm hung up on something here.
Yes.
Brett turns to an upskirt camera. Is the implication here that Brett is wearing a skirt and looks down at the upskirt on his own skirt? Or is there a woman in the studio who is pointing up her skirt and he's just like looking at it from a distance? Like what are we
Yeah,
doing?
it's like a picture-in-picture thing.
I imagine him on the floor next to the camera. It's like pointing up and sticking his face into frame.
I love that you guys haven't gotten through literally the first page.
Oh, I'm having a ball with this. Please let me indulge myself. Rest assured, dear reader, by the end of this story, you will know the truth. Always Sunny in Philadelphia music. Text on screen, no you won't. We begin with the first murder victim, Chris Peacock, 94 years young.
Wait.
Was he wearing a Speedo?
I did notice some similarities between Tom's murder and mine.
That always seems to happen for some reason. Anyway.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize there was a huge subconscious river of gentricide in this podcast.
Every time we like make stuff up, there's a weird synergy.
What do you have against muscle granddaddies?
Nothing. I never said he was muscular. You may come to that conclusion based on the text.
Chris resides in his trailer, number 13 in the Humping Hills Trailer Park for the Elderly outside of San Diego, which research tells me was discovered by the Germans in 1904. They named it San Diego, which of course in German means a whale's vagina.
Trailer park for the elderly.
He rests, leaning back in his split pea green and blood orange red Barca lounger after, according to the best forensic estimates, masturbating for several hours to a recent purchase of an IKEA lamp. Gosh, dude. I'm gonna make a shout out, and I hope some of y'all who haven't checked out Friday Night Fanfiction yet, it's on hiatus. I swear it will come back one day when my life simplifies. Look up any episode where we read Buster Manwomb if you enjoy this style of writing. You will have fun. I miss you, Buster Manwomb. I would love to get back to reading your stuff. Then, suddenly from the window, a stray projectile comes in through the window. Chris Redfield, lacking the mental fortitude that a pre-6-hour masturbation mind would grant him, is unable to evade the object, and it strikes him square in the face.
I want to read the witness.
One witness report as follows.
Subtitle reads, Buck Naked, Local Peeping Tom.
I tell you, it was a hell of a thing. The cock over there was going shoom right into old Chris' window. I knew we were done for on account of me hearing the sounds of him finishing up his business with the missus.
All right, I'm going to ref this. Tom, you read.
Okay, I will be interviewer for the remainder of this segment. Okay.
This is the only section that has this component. You guys know that, right?
Oh, no. Okay,
6 hours of effort for 3 seconds of payoff. Sounds like my love life.
Sir, he lived alone.
Jesus.
Now, sir, when you say cock...
Oh, yeah, that big old cock was up on that shoomy thing.
Shoomy thing.
Yeah, you know, that long thing just spurts everywhere. I saw him on the internet. Tons of videos of a shoomy.
I'm so very reminded of the ending of Freddy Got Fingered.
Oh, no.
Cut back to presentation.
I saw that in the theater with a very good friend of mine in high school.
Was he a good friend after you were done watching it?
I was just going to
Haven't spoken to him in years.
Good.
I am glad that it destroyed your friendship, is what Mike is saying.
That's the headcanon now.
Curse you, Tom Green!
After several more hours of questioning, the interviewer learns that Shooby Thing is in fact a small firework, and that is the witness's term for all forms of rocket-shaped objects who mirror that behavior. Lacking the footage remaining to determine what the cock in the description is, the interviewer moves on.
That's the one thing the interviewer is interested in.
All right, I'm tapping out to Tom.
All right. Several feathers and unidentified. Ooh. Okay, let me drink some water.
Yeah, you got 4 words. 4 words, Tom.
All right, I'll take it.
This is why I do scripted videos, because I can re-record when I stumble over my words. Several feathers.
Tom is on hour 12 of his MTV Unplugged performance.
Several feathers and unidentifiable chunks of flesh are found at the scene, leaving investigators unwilling to determine what was strapped to the rocket. Unwilling? Okay. A rash of recent castration cases only further muddles the situation. Despite an extreme lack of...
Hold on. I'm not even wearing like a collared shirt and I'm doing the neck pull thing. Hey.
Despite an extreme lack of conclusive evidence, as well as evidence indicating that Chris Peacock was dead before he could complete any self-inflicted intimacy, lead investigator Detective Robin Banks is dedicated to cracking the case.
I'm sorry, self-inflicted intimacy sounds like something you thought of in high school and was so funny you remembered it until now.
What makes you think I didn't?
That sounds like a good name of an emo band.
Look, here's the thing. At this point, I'm really good at calling reality what it is, despite the fact that it is so utterly depressing. So do tell me if I'm still right.
See, I like to look at it like the phrase self-inflicted gunshot wound, only now it's self-inflicted intimacy wound.
Oh.
Like chafing?
I'm uncomfortable.
Anyway.
I was thinking more like a fleshlight full of razor blades, but...
Oh, no!
Oh.
No!
Anyway, at the time of the investigation.
At the time...
Not a Pokemon I'm interested in.
No. Not like this. At the time of the investigation, Officer Banks is already...
Oh, I am so glad somebody else uses the not like this from the Matrix out of desperation. I'm so happy. That has stuck with me for... Because that is... I'm sorry, I know another tangent. In my opinion, that is my favorite death in cinema history. Just not like this. Not like this. Goes cross-eyed and collapses. It's just so perfect.
At the time of the investigation, Officer Banks is already a noted police officer, having been granted the loosest cannon award from his graduating class at the academy, allegedly self-bestowed, holds the state's record for
How
arrests.
did you fit this many self-inflicted intimacy, loosest cannon, allegedly self-bestowed?
That's actually a quote from a Gurren Lagann fanfiction.
You really went all out. Dude, NaNoWriMo is like...
I'm an aspiring novelist. I can't help that.
Holds the state's record for arrests, wrongful or otherwise, and is the only officer in the history of his department who caused more collateral damage than the budget could cover. Nonetheless, he attacks the case with an unmatched zeal. His harassment of the forensic team leads to the discovery of an unusual substance in the murder weapon. Cut to a forensic researcher. Subtitle reads...
It was creamy nougat.
Cut to a forensic researcher. Subtitle reads, Eileen Ulick, forensic expert.
Which I've been told is the candy equivalent of veal.
Thank goodness somebody knew. Yes.
Oh no, we have 2 guys who can do strongman impressions.
Well, no, you have one guy that could... Can both Mike and...
You!
I'm okay. No. I'm not great. That was better.
No, I can't do I can do Homestar. I can't do Strongman. And I can barely do Homestar.
You did it on my stream, and it was really good.
Well, it must have been a one-off, because I usually suck at Strongman. No, put me in a room with Mike and have us do Homestar and Strongman together. We could do a 6-hour live stream.
Oh, yeah, fucking totally.
Homestar and Strongman play through Strongman school games for attractive people. Sounds miserable. Let's do it.
Okay, so here I am playing my game. I'll be Eileen, sure. Yes, so the substance found contained an accelerant made from a fertilizer.
No, do the Strongman voice for Eileen, please.
Yes, so the substance found contained an accelerant made from a fertilizer. The weird thing is that inside the fertilizer was a steroid named metrobolone. Now, metrobolone is a type of anabolic steroid, but it's so toxic. Oh, it is so toxic, it would be fatal to anyone who consumed it. She pauses, looking nervously at the camera.
Ian, that is honestly the best strong bad impersonation I have heard in my entire life.
It is fucking up there, man.
That is uncanny.
Yeah.
I'm very
Thank
proud
you.
of you.
I appreciate it.
No props, strong bad.
Is Banks gonna see this? I really hope he does. He's so handsome and brave and... I'm cool.
I need to commission you to read a few very specific lines in that voice for my son, if you don't mind. He is a huge fan of Strong. He keeps watching Strong Bad play through Vampire's Castle Adventure, and he keeps saying to himself, get the axe.
Oh, that one is so good.
Get the holy water. And it's the most adorable thing. It's so adorable. Good, you've got a commission out of this.
Camera cuts back to narration.
Cha-ching.
Officer Banks takes his investigation to nearby livestock farms, but is unable to find the matching steroid inside the remains of any cattle dung. In fact, upon inquiry, farmers are noticed saying,
Jesus, man, if we had that in our cows, they'd beat us up and take our wives.
Lacking any other leads, Banks is forced to investigate the shady underground world of illegal fireworks.
I know you said shady, but I heard shitty, and it's funny.
For several days, Banks' investigation turns up no leads until one day, a crate of lit fireworks are left in his car while he is inside. How would you manage that?
Cue the time crisis music. Dun, 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 dun.
Despite receiving severe burns and now distinctly smelling of fertilizer, Banks redoubles his effort, ignoring the threat upon his life, and quickly escapes the hospital he awakens from by hurling a bedpan through the window.
Mike, you really missed a good opportunity there. He redoubles his efforts and promised to give 100% this time.
I just like to think that the window was wide open.
No edits.
The window was wide open. He threw the bedpan through the glass just because.
And he threw the bedpan through the glass. Cue the Terminator 2 nuclear explosion. Everybody dies.
I like the idea that he threw it through the open window and there's no smash. He just threw it, went right through, landed on the street.
It just explodes as it lands on like the pavement. Yeah.
Like Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Yes, perfect.
Bandaged and wearing that hospital gown where your ass is hanging out, Banks steals a car with another bedpan. Reads the last place he investigated. I like how he stopped to grab a second bedpan.
That reminds me, Mike, have I spoken to you about Obscurest Vinyl yet?
Yes.
Not yet.
Speaking about butts.
Oh.
Have I not?
Nope, not yet.
Okay. I'll wait till the end.
Okay. He steals a car with another bedpan and raids the last place he investigated. The warehouse with a name pun so racist, the author was yelled at by his Chinese wife.
Oh boy. This is a lot. This is like, how many pages is this?
8 pages.
A million.
It might be 9. Yeah, it's 9 on Google Docs.
Oh, yeah, I'm deleting the extra pages.
Slenderman is trying to protect us from reading this story in all those games. Okay.
My gag didn't make it in. Oh,
Okay,
I'm so upset. Okay, I'll explain
What didn't make it in?
So you know where it says "nice try, Tom"?
Did something get removed from the thing?
So I had that highlighted in black to imply that I blacked out the racist name. So my hope was that during the stream you'd be like, Mike, I need to know what it is. Unblank it and reveal it to just read "nice try, Tom."
Okay.
So
okay. Well, I'll just pretend that that's what happens when I get to that.
Where's the gif of Rainier Wolfcastle saying, "That's the joke"?
When it happens, I'll laugh really, really hard, okay? I'll sell it for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's why we're friends.
As the facility is now surrounded by various Triad members, Officer Banks is unable to... All the Triad members are hanging out at a racist farm.
Racist firework facility. Warehouse.
Yeah. I keep thinking it's a farm for some reason.
So it's the fireworks when they go off. It's just a loud, negative cultural expletive. Jesus, that's awful. That's something that would... gosh, I'm ashamed to say there are far too many segments of my state where that would probably sell.
As the facility is now surrounded by various Triad members, Officer Banks is unable to run his car through the front per his initial plans. However, due to lax building codes regulations involving California highways and overpasses, numerous overpasses are in a constant state of disrepair and construction, turning the entire state into a paradise of sick high jumps that inspire many 80s movies. Using a series of complex ramps and in complete ignorance of the internal bleeding caused by car crashes, Officer Banks crashes through the ceiling of the warehouse my wife won't let me name because she's being a bit of the stick in the mud about this. Surrounded on all sides by Triad members, his only weapon, Beretta, and the bandages on his body, Officer Banks stares down at the owner of the warehouse and local head of the Triad, Mr. And this part is highlighted in black, and when I unhighlight it, it says, "Nice try, Tom."
I don't know. Apologize for any joke that doesn't land in this whole process. Thank you, Ian.
I was just waiting for that.
Oh my God, I'm getting a headache. Oh, you got your ass, Tom.
All right, moving on.
Okay.
Where is my Wiki Sift soundboard? I need that reaction on cue. Oh my gosh. I need the ability to, you know those old flash-based fart machines where you could click it really fast and the sounds would overlay?
Oh, yeah.
I need to be able to do that with that reaction.
Oh God, no.
You need
That
to be
would
a specific age to get that reference, by the way.
I get
That
it.
would
I get it.
destroy the speakers of every computer that listens to this.
There's a new gauge for like how intense a noise is in decibels. It's like between the sound of an airplane taking off and the sound of like the sun exploding is that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Seriously, hun, it's a perfectly valid Chinese name. Fine, I'll change it. Lee. His name is Lee now.
My name is Mr. Blank.
So I'm guessing in the context of this, Brett has a Chinese wife, and it's not a commentary on either Mike's or my Chinese wives.
No, it's a commentary on my Chinese wife.
Okay.
She knows.
My text comment earlier still stands. It's that I never thought I would say, wow, I need something a little bit less dramatic than Wiki Sift. I wonder if Mallory is on.
As Officer Banks stares down the Triad, he looks at the flaming wreck of his car. Getting a terrible idea, Officer Banks proceeds to light himself on fire by first rolling around and leaking gas, then shoving a spark plug up his ass, before running into the fireworks. The Triad members are too confused to react and stop him before the ensuing explosion destroys the city block. It takes several months and countless man-hours for forensic investigators to deduce the events that transpired in the warehouse I'm not allowed to name. However, it only takes 6 hours for the delivery of steroid-tainted fertilizer to arrive, revealing the source: Alberta.
Of fucking course it's Alberta!
This brings us to Chapter 2 of our mystery, Muscles of Alberta. Chung chung!
That is a fine stripper name.
As the news reports about the explosion in Los Angeles pass along the telegram wires, photos of the fertilizer are broadcast from Langdon to Calgary, and one intrepid RCMP officer takes the case. Photo of a man in a traditional Mountie outfit. Officer Herd Candy, epic of law and order. Among members of the RCMP, Officer Candy is noted for having the most mental health violations in his records, both internal and induced. His complete unwillingness to change out of dress uniform, even in covert operations. Photo of Candy standing tall with a bush covering his head and face.
You know, Mike, I actually have to applaud you here. It's a bold move to not include images of these things themselves, but to very handily provide people prompts that they can just plop into AI to generate their own images of this, so that each person's experience is slightly different.
That's how you know I'm timeless, baby.
Candy holds the RCMP record for longest interrogation ever due to his 108-hour questioning of Don Cherry about multiple parking violations. Text on screen. No charges were raised against Candy because everyone hates Don Cherry. Once on the case, Candy immerses himself in fertilizer. Literally, he covers himself in shit. Official reports list this as a camouflage maneuver. However, one officer lists Candy's reasoning as, quote, "To know my enemy, I must become my enemy," end quote. This matches later footage of Candy passing through a cow's digestive tract. Black and white footage of a cow screaming in agony before a man in a Maori outfit runs out from behind him.
What is this Ace Ventura crap?
I forgot this part. That was good.
If you could see my face.
Sorry, go ahead.
After several months of viciously beating truckers with a glass jar of maple syrup, Officer Candy traces the trail of fertilizer back to the source, the totally not a cult farm.
Oh, you can't say that.
Despite Candy's assurances that it is an old Persian name, Candy's intimate knowledge of the country by frequently eating soil gives him a concise history of Canadian immigration, and he knows that historically there were no Persian settlers during the early farming periods of the farm's origin suggests. Also, he later realizes that everyone on the farm is white, so that helped too. Armed with his trusty manhunting tool...
You're making me feel so much better about revealing the cancer, Mike.
The bear trap flail, which doesn't need describing, because it's just a bear trap attached to a chain, Candy jumps the 6-foot-tall fence, and then, after extracting the bear trap that's landed on his head, he stalks the compound. He calls it late at night and breathes heavily into the phone. He takes photos from a rented flat across the street. Oh, wait, no, that's not the kind of stalking that's meant here. Candy creeps through the grass, avoiding the suspiciously German World War II-looking searchlights because the author watched The Great Escape last night. For several hours, he moves...
Oh my gosh! Somebody actually... That's a cosmic coincidence!
See, this is what I'm saying. Every time we do this thing where we make stuff up, there's a weird synergy. Like,
I love serendipity, don't you?
Yeah, she's fine. Sorry.
Yeah, she was great in Mystic Pizza.
Oh, wait, no. I'm pressing the button for Ian to do that again. Sell it.
Oh my god.
Since everybody here is a fan of The Simpsons, I must only use this power to annoy. Thank you, buddy.
You're welcome, Stevo. For several hours, he moves, mere millimeters at a time, creeping closer and closer to the buildings on the farm. This goes on for several days. Finally, when he is practically next to the building, he's actually next to the building. Standing up, he examines the exterior of the barn, taking a bite out of it for forensic purposes. Moving around to the front barn doors, he peeks inside.
Okay. For some reason, this is a very, like, Deus Ex-y sneaking kind of thing. With the searchlights. You need some more augments, buddy.
Now I'm just hearing that I'm hearing that.
I kind of...
Do you want to finish this, Tom?
I kind of want Ian to continue because I love the voice that he's doing. It fits this so well.
Yeah, but he deserves a break, though.
Yeah.
I was going to say I need to get some water.
Okay, I can tag in. Instead of finding the normal things one would expect to in a barn, animals, bales of hay, a lovely sensual tramp with which to warm the nights, Officer Candy instead rows upon rows of Hughes.
Oh, you're reading the story and not making a confession. Okay, Tom, you have to, like, preface that real fast.
Officer Candy instead rows upon rows of pews, and what's worse, there are people within them. For Officer Candy found the cult of the Sweet Meat Gains. Established in 1985 during the rampant steroid craze that in no way has decreased, several professional bodybuilders formed a reserve camp in Alberta to practice their craft. However, in the high dosage of steroids they injected, they found it to be fatal until they injected those hormones into cows and then eat the cows raw.
Oh, geez.
After several years, they hit on the idea of having steroid-loaded cows be bred with even more steroid-loaded bulls, which, as you can imagine, only exacerbated the situation with the inevitable supremely jacked children they produced, which were then eaten. The Ouroboros continued until, predictably, the people of the cult of Sweet Meat Gains looked like men wearing flesh-colored balloon suits rather than people. Officer Candy, outraged at the abuse of the glorious meat grading system of Canada and the fine beef it produces, kicks down the door. Due to his ability to move at more than a brisk waddle but not having an extra 100 pounds of muscle weighing down his heart, Candy is able to easily outmaneuver the members of the cult as they chase him and handcuff them to each other. Several of them die from heart attacks in the ensuing chase around the room. That is, until Kyle showed up. Now, we warn viewers with sensitive dispositions, as this is where the story introduces Kyle. This is where the story becomes quite disturbing. Due to the steroid-loaded inbreeding of the cows, an odd mutation occurred, according to police reports. In fact, police reports explicitly say it was a mutation and insist vehemently that Kyle's existence was brought on by spontaneous mutation and nothing else. It certainly wasn't brought on by any carnal activities where the head of the cult was trying to tenderize the meat. Either way, Kyle emerges from the basement of the barn. Do barns have basements? Looks off screen. Yeah. I kind of wanted to answer that definitively. Yes. Yes? No? Well, I saw Superman 4. They have something down there. Look, we're calling it a basement now. The bipedal creature stands erect over Officer Candy, his massive hairy body a huge living, breathing mass of violence. Despite walking on two legs, his hooves have no trouble staying balanced, even with his massive, heavy horns jutting from the side of his head. To say the least, Kyle is quite literally a Minotaur man with all the dangerous proportions that entails.
Oh, I loved Eddie Murphy in that movie.
Dangerous proportions?
No, Minotaur Man. I thought he sucked in Dangerous Proportions.
Yeah. That's the thing with Eddie Murphy. He's so delightful in a few roles and terrible in so many others. Officer Candy is not deterred, however. Is that Eddie Murphy doing the voices of all the characters?
Yeah, that was the movie Norbit, which was like the last thing I saw him in for a long, long time.
You saw it?
No, I saw the ads for it. I wouldn't go see that. Are you kidding?
I've seen one clip from that, and it was filmed inside a movie theater. And throughout the entire 2 minutes of the scene, there was multiple people walking out. Officer Candy is not deterred, however.
Oh, that's great.
It was like a steady stream of people walking out the whole 2 minutes. Officer Candy is not deterred, however. Armed with a Smith & Wesson pistol, he takes careful aim against the Beastman, who, despite protests of "bring it, bro," and all subsequent sentences being variations of those 3 words, is not stopped by the poor caliber pistol due to the insane density of his muscles. Candy, however, does not flee. Rather, he sees in his opponent an equal in might to Officer Candy's own love of the glorious country of Canada, and he steps forward to engage Kyle in mortal combat.
I came back at a good time.
The two battle with a passion and fury unmatched in any sporting arena in the world. Long into the morning they battled, 2 titans of pugilism, until at last the sun rose, as did their respect for one another.
The situation might have ended there. However, it was not to be, for beneath the church/barn was the processing refinery for their manure from the cows. This steroid-loaded feces had become an embarrassing offshoot of the cult, and was being repurposed and marketed as cheap fertilizer. After a night without maintenance or oversight, this ramshackle machinery, which was already a demonstrable safety hazard, broke and exploded, destroying the church, Kyle, and Officer Candy in a fiery ball of feces. That is why, to this day, that area of Alberta is known as the butt crack of Canada. Regretfully, the case does not end here, as we make our way into the third and final part of the Rocket Cock murder case. Trouble all the way up! Part 3, Trouble all the way down. We now come to Mike Rush of the FDA.
Really? Really, Mike?
Yep.
Really? Really?
Really. And I'd do it again. Without shame.
You're a monster,
But pride.
but you're our monster.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mike is a humble man, a small man by nature. He inspects meat to ensure their quality for homes across America. He's also a prolific drinker. Every night he drinks a whiskey drink. He drinks a vodka drink.
Oh,
he drinks a lager
Mike.
drink, and I can't remember the last one.
It's a cider drink.
However,
Okay, Mike, this is
I'm
definitely
so
the part
mad.
that you designed to upset me.
however, one night Mike treats himself to a steak dinner with his 4 drinks, or was it 3? And upon eating the meal, passes out. He awakens in the emergency room to learn he's ingested meat with a high enough testosterone dosage to kill a normal man. And had there not been a cauldron of fermented alcohol in his stomach, Mike, being a stout and steadfast investigator, begins his work, after having his stomach pumped several times. And then having a nap because a stomach pump is stressful. Through the night, over several days, Mike works. He comes across the story of the tainted fertilizer. You remember that part, right? The part with the Minotaur? And finds that the excess S beef was sold off to an American company. With the complete lack of alcohol in Mike Roch's system, the true nature of vacuums occurs and something takes its place: pride in his work. As an agent of the FDA, Mike becomes dedicated to solving the mystery. Are you excited? No? Tough shit, it's almost over. Mike pulls up the documentation for the meat's approval for distribution and finds government certification on every page. Each and every one has a proud stamp labeling approval by the United States government. But not the FDA. So Mike goes to the one place in the government where all documentation is kept. More secret than the actual location of the Ark of the Covenant and Teddy Roosevelt's jockstrap, which were both one and the same, actually, if you know your real history.
Yeah.
More hidden than the negative world Mount Rushmore that just has Trump, Bush Jr., Andrew Johnson, and alternate reality President Camacho.
Oof.
It is the Food Records Office. Every piece of food ever consumed by an American has subsequently been recorded and had paperwork filed in this massive labyrinth of file cabinets, scroll cabinets, 90 server racks, and repurposed iPods. A lesser man would die in such a place, and many foolhardy and brave bureaucratic FDA agents have met their end in this place, their bodies used to help divide second of this elaborate system. However, Mike is no fool. He's aware that to enter this place without a guide is foolish at best, and after opening 2 coins to Kairon, crosses the river Styx to borrow such a guide from the land of the dead, the ghost of Paula Deen.
What?
Oh, jeez. Yeah, okay. Real big, super big Buster Man Womb vibe going on here.
I didn't realize I was
What?
reading the next word of the document when I said that.
What? What do you mean she's not dead?
Nani?
That much butter in her blood? Well, who the fuck did he summon? Dr. Harvey Washington Wiley? He summoned Mega Man's enemy? It can pull the moon out of its orbit.
You sound like
That's a
Dr.
good impression.
Contlove from The Amazing Bulk.
We find out me, yeah, we find Dr. Wowie.
Mega Man, Dr. Wowie is about to find out how clouds walk. I need you to stop him. Dr. Light, I think we already know how that works. No, I don't. And I'm jealous. He's going to figure it out.
You must recover the tainted beef immediately.
I believe the only extant copies of it are on Vimeo, but there is a very short-lived video series called Great Moments in Voice Acting, all of which are from video games. And it features a darling older gentleman with a beard delivering dramatic monologues in a robe in a steakhouse, an empty steakhouse. And he goes over the clip from Mega Man 8 and starts crying when he mentions Dr. Light's tragic speech impediment, that he could not form a coherent sentence. Oh, I'm going to have to find links to that at some point. Gosh, I love Dr. Wowie.
He founded the FDA under Teddy Roosevelt. That makes way more sense than summoning Paula Deen. Anyway, through the archives he travels, his ghostly companion showing the way and getting ectoplasm just everywhere. For a time, the search is hopeless until, while reminiscing, Dr. Wiley points out that all guests of the Food Records Office will stay courtesy of the Holiday Inn. All guests of the Food Records Office must sign their name and the government division they are from. Agent Roch runs for the guest book, and sure enough, his culprit is there. Wayne Kerr of the Indoor Air Quality Division of the U.S. government. Thus, Agent Roch arms himself with his interdepartmental minigun and battle axe, a process for dealing with interdepartmental conflicts established by Roosevelt, and greets Wayne Kerr with a...
That's not a surprise.
...traditional opening salvo. Kerr, however, is prepared, having heard the perfunctory church bell of the damned, which rings in all government offices when a staff member summons the dead. Hiding behind his Kevlar-lined desk, Kerr used a completely unsanctioned grenade launcher to repel Agent Roch. To say the least, lunch in the commissary is delayed. With Roch caught in a daze from the explosion, Kerr takes the time...
Oh man, I'm so hungry!
...to restrain Roch and explain his dastardly and elaborate plan, because in his own words, gosh darn it, it was clever, and someone ought to appreciate how ding-dong smart I was. It turns out that Wayne Kerr sought a radical new method of lowering methane content in homes. With most Americans on an unreasonably poor diet, indoor air quality was suffering, so Kerr elected to break the situation off at the source. American meat. Kerr learned that cows on heavy steroids farted less, and by extension, neither did anyone who ate their meat, as his brother Chad never farts and is so clearly juiced.
Is American Meat not the subtitle to one of the Hostel movies?
I'm pretty sure American Meat is the name of the Brazzers video you guys were thinking of earlier.
Right, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's still Brazzers.
Are you okay, Tom?
Yeah.
You okay? You sound like you've been punched a lot.
Each of these words is like a fist to the brain.
Good. It was the point.
The same experience of watching Kung Pao enter the fist.
I'm just kind of mystified by how I find the fart joke so funny.
Because fart jokes are hilarious.
The fart is the cornerstone of human comedy.
Literally the one thing every human has in common. There is nobody who doesn't find fart jokes funny.
I hope to God, Tom, your viewing audience finds this enjoyable.
At this point, this deep into Wiki Sift lore, they're here for this. The information is secondary.
Yeah.
And this is us reading fanfic tonight. So for this specific episode, I think we're giving them what they want.
I want to hear it.
Kerr hid his activities by using...
I will definitely take fart jokes over. Cancer!
All right, moving on. Go ahead, Ian.
Kerr hid his activities by using his government access to illegally ship steroids to the source of all American meat, Alberta. The farm was simply the first test run. By allowing the farmers to offload the meat, the American people would have a new diet that would result in less methane injection. Ejection, not injection. Kerr would receive a medal for his results. Roch, however, was the only person who knew the truth, and thus must die. You must die! Kerr lowered his grenade launcher at the agent, ignorant of the blast radius of the very grenades he was using, which would likely kill him too. Kerr did not wait for the shot, however. He kicked Roch square in the berries, causing him to lower the grenade launcher and fire it through the already weakened floor, leading the two plummeting down to the ruins of Lyndon Johnson's abandoned sex tunnels.
Well, I got those guys mixed up in there, didn't I?
Okay, the part that got me is that Kerr received a medal for studying cow farts.
My favorite thing here is the use of Lyndon Johnson's abandoned sex tunnel, because that's not even far from the truth. Wasn't he the one who, like, later on, like, well after his death, people were like...
Oh, yeah, no, he literally went around at every possible convenience.
Like, whipped his dick out.
Bragging about his wiener.
Yeah, he'd, like, whip his dick out and go, like, see how big my dick is?
He literally would just whip his dick out, yeah.
Take a look at Johnson's
Oh, he did? I had no idea of that. That was just something I threw out randomly because I thought he was bored.
No! Oh, that's so funny.
Presidents of
Serendipity strikes again.
Dude, JFK was a sex addict, and Lyndon Johnson would just constantly whip out his wiener.
Once again, this is a parallel to how I had Harlan Ellison fist fight the publisher in the parking lot, and someone revealed to me later that, like, that's actually a thing he would have done, and I didn't know that. I just picked Harlan Ellison because I thought that sounded funny. The two battle among the damaged furniture and very expired lube, trading shots through the empty space until they come to the center of the fuck labyrinth itself, the long-lost presidential time machine with which Johnson picked up historical hotties to bed. The two men battling outside the machine fall in, accidentally activating it.
Mike, I fucking swear if we get to the end of the story and you bring Anne Frank into this.
I'm not. But I do tie this up in a nice bow.
One of us has some modicum of control.
that would have been inappropriate, but please continue.
Wow, Roch, that would have been inappropriate. Okay,
I'm glad nobody brought up Anne Frank at all.
We've finally got a line drawn in the sand. It's directly before the edge of the cliff, but it is there.
Why is my life?
While Roch is safely on the inside, Kerr is caught halfway between points in time, and his genitals age considerably.
Was there not a Batman the Animated Series episode where some dude had a clock that could, like, stop time or something? I just imagine it just going over the crotch and going, oh, my wiener.
The good old...
You gotta pay extra for that service to de-age your wangus.
The terrible... The heartbreak of old penis syndrome.
You know, true crime.
I'm just glad I broke in with
Jesus.
one of them. Anyway, you want to finish? You are at the
end. I got this. Just give me a second. I'm sorry, just the aging of the penis and the penis alone really got me for some reason.
That was
okay.
Really funny.
You had, because that's the only part of you that...
As Roch jumps forward in time to try and get home, his travels land him just outside a trailer park. It is, in fact, the Humping Hills trailer park. Sure enough, just next to the landing point, he can hear the telltale sound of the imminent ending of a 6-hour masturbation session. With Kerr's aged penis in one hand and a nearby stack of illegal fireworks, Roch knows what he must do. What became of Agent Roch? No one knows. As it is the U.S. Department of Time Dilation is currently tracking him across major historical documents, he was last seen in a fresco motorboating Cleopatra. For now, I'm Brett.
Move over, Lyndon Johnson. It's my turn.
I'm Brett Ting and abetting.
You bet your ass there's fan fiction of JFK and Lyndon Johnson.
The Nightcast True Crime Podcast. Brett turns towards the camera, chung chung, and we cover all the murder. Meh, that's not just murder. Good night.
I would like to point out that once again it turns to the upskirt camera.
Yes.
Well, that was a roller coaster of emotions.
I'm still stuck on the conga line of time travelers, motorboat, and Cleopatra.
You know, I forget that I'm really desensitized to this. I forget that I did a podcast for 13 seasons dedicated to just awful fan fiction, and that it has in some way warped my perception of things.
All right, Ian, since you read so much of mine, should I do yours?
Well, let me give you a little bit of an intro on this.
Okay.
I struggled with this concept because I too was having writer's block. I kept getting like one small stupid idea that would go nowhere without further thought, and I could come up with nothing else. One of my ideas was that a man was digging up celebrity corpses, and it turned out he was going to open a celebrity corpse museum. Another idea was a man was going to start stealing the bolts off of, like, commuter bridges, but I had nowhere to go with that. So literally it came down to last night I was on my stream, and before my stream went up, I've been doing a thing on Sundays where I have a random wheel that spins and picks things that I'm going to do. So I put on the wheel, chat helps ZXD out of a jam. I took an entire page of this document, which is still at the end of it, of people's suggestions on what to do, and I turned them into, like, nearly 4 pages of nonsense. And the best part is now, if mine is stupid and sucks, I can blame it on my chat, and I don't have to take any responsibility at all.
Wow, what a great moral lesson to teach here.
I honestly think this is probably the best approach to take, because every one of us struggled with writer's block, I think.
Yeah, but now he has a scapegoat.
Like, did you struggle, or did this just all pour out of you?
You know, I feel like I gave birth, and when you are giving birth, it's almost, there are contractions.
Oh.
So I won't say there wasn't a struggle, but the flow of it really is what made me feel like a woman and a mother.
The case of the Triangle Gang versus Los Hombres and Bicicleta. It all began in...
How is this what tripped you up?
What the fuck?
Nothing good.
Grand Rapids, Michigan. Oh, that's a good
I've
one.
literally never heard of any good stories start with Grand Rapids, Michigan.
And
Not
you never
ever.
will, so continue.
And I have friends from Michigan. Whenever Grand Rapids is brought up, it's not in a good light. It all began in
Do we need a button to make me uncontrollably laugh whenever someone says Grand Rapids, Michigan? Nah, I don't think I have the energy for that right now.
It all began in Grand Rapids, Michigan on February 7th, 2022. I remember this clearly as the entire affair was a local event. The sun was mostly shining, though it was partly cloudy, and the forecast had mentioned a 25% chance of a light rain. None of us local folk knew it just yet, but we were in for one hell of a ride. You'd have thought bath salts were involved for all the craziness that was about to unfold, but nothing of the sort was true. You'd have never
so close to crossing into the sun on that one. Go for it.
You'd have never expected a local man like...
Yeah, I thought that was Fred Durst for a second.
That's not a good name. It's not Fred Dullarts.
It's Dullarts. Please.
Fred Dullarts.
Sure it is.
Who was always sure to volunteer his time whenever the local church needed help, to have secretly been a criminal mastermind, but it's true. Beneath his unassuming surface, anger and hatred had slowly been rising to a boiling point for years, and the last straw that finally pushed him over the edge was apparently when they officially announced that the green M&M was going to be redesigned to be less sexy. As noted, many were indignant that day, yes?
Oh, yeah. My heart broke when they desexied her.
Utilizing connections he'd forged in his online recreational...
I was fine because I still had the red one.
I believe Tucker Carlson specifically was upset about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like he deserves it.
Oh, no. I'm grateful because that spawned not one, but two fantastic fanfics, sexy times, crossing him over with the green M&M.
Of course it did.
Utilizing connections he'd forged in his online recreational exotic cockroach keeping communities. Dull Arts formed a gang of, it's taking all of my power not to say vicious proto-stars. Tom, your show has ruined my life.
A vicious gang of protostars is bent on destroying your dick. If you guys don't know that reference, I'll explain it later.
I would like that, yes.
And only Spock 99 can save it.
Dull Arts formed a gang of misfits who would later come to be known as the Triangle Gang. Dull Arts and his gang planned to rob the local bank by way of tunneling into the vault from an adjacent abandoned lot. Computer analysis of documents later recovered from the gang's hideout, Dull Arts' local home, reveals where the plan went wrong. Using outdated survey information and a broken compass caused the tunnel to be dug heading west instead of east. Using forensic computer algorithms, local law enforcement was able to predict that had the tunnel continued to be... My eyes saw a few words from the next line. Had the tunnel continued to be dug, it would have led out somewhere in the area of Ashland, Nebraska. Another area where literally I've never heard any good story come from. As it was, their botched tunnel heist led them to the back rooms of Walk and Roll, a local Chinese establishment.
Okay, guys, no fooling. There is a restaurant near where Mike and I live called Asian Walk and Roll. It is a real thing.
Yeah.
I figured it had to exist somewhere, but I hedged my bets anyways.
It's like right on the border of Brampton, Mississauga, and Toronto. It's like in a really prime spot, and it's got a huge sign. You can't miss it. It's very prominent.
Is Walk and Roll any good? I'm asking my Chinese wife.
Look, okay, at this point...
no. Oh, she hates it.
Does Go Folk Yourself actually exist then?
Good.
If we get started on names for terrible businesses and restaurants, we'll be here all night.
Hey,
I've got a list handy.
Hey, would you complain the person that needs the material to make for the opening bumpers? I don't think so. Owned by Romeo. Fuck you, Ian.
That's not even hard.
Speak for yourself. Owned by Romeo Ramirez. That is harder than it looks.
You can just say John Romero if it makes it easier.
But you have to say it backwards.
He's the final boss of the Chinese restaurant. This restaurant, which reviewed quite well, despite its all Mexican staff, was actually up front for Los Hombres in Bicicleta, a Mexican cartel who were known for smuggling by running illegal goods across the Canadian border on motorcycles. Those fiendish bastards.
Bicycles.
No,
This is on bicycles.
On bicycles.
I thought Bicicleta how do you say it? I suck at Spanish.
Bicicleta.
I thought that might have been a bicycle thing, but I was not sure.
This mix-up, which revealed to the Triangle Gang that Los Hombres had been both smuggling drugs and inside of endangered animals and smuggling exotic animals inside of drugs.
Okay, hold on. I need to try to picture this. Okay, an exotic animal that I guess
this is a turducken nightmare. There's no beginning or end of this human centipede. It's just exotic animals and drugs.
It's exotic animals and drugs all the way down.
I was like imagining, like, are they smuggling exotic animals inside of legal drugs that the cops would be like, oh, it's just aspirin, you can go on in. That's how they get them. It's like, oh, we thought this was illegal drugs, carry on.
Oh, it's black market insulin and EpiPens. Oh, no. Quick, somebody. Jimmy brought in a peanut butter sandwich. Crick, break the raccoon. That's fantastic.
There's just a golden pangolin inside of a plastic bag and a 50-gallon drum of Pepto-Bismol.
Was surprisingly not what kicked off the explosive gang war between the two factions. Oh no, Ramirez let the men return through their tunnel without any violence, but he still felt the need to retaliate. Sending one of his men to Dullart's home well after sundown, he silently snuck into his home like a diaper demon in the night and made off. I'm struggling to process this one.
I'm trying not to read ahead.
And made off with one of his aquariums full of exotic cockroaches. It was this act of war that turned our local town into a battlefield. I'm letting up the reins. Wow.
The Triangle Gang hit back hard against Los Hombres, silently trailing one of their top enforcers into a truck stop in Dothan, Alabama. It was an unusually cool evening.
You have a knack for picking these places.
It was an unusually cool evening with a clear, cloudless sky and a thin fog pervaded the area.
Did you know that there is an area of Maryland that is literally called mutual consent?
Is there?
No, but I do now, and that's great.
Look it up.
No, is there any mutual consent in that area?
Mutual consent, Maryland is my favorite place to tell people about.
Once they knew the coast was clear, Dullart's and his men sprung from his 1978 Chevy Astra van. You'd have thought the murder would have involved guns and knives, but neither was used. Instead, forensic computer analysis indicates that Jesus Manzanillo was killed by being repeatedly slammed into and run over with a shopping cart. Fact that was later confirmed by an eyewitness report. Those were these guys, like a few men, and they just jumped out of this old van, or maybe a truck with a cap on the bed, said Maud Jeffrey, a local lot lizard who had been propositioning truckers after the last call around 3 a.m. when the events unfolded. She had one of those raspy-ass smoker voices, which Tracy Morgan shortened to casino voice on an episode of Conan O'Brien's podcast.
What the fuck? Where did that come from, Ian?
From chat.
It came from chat.
They started hitting this guy with one of those.
Were you watching Comedy Central?
They started hitting this guy with one of those things, you know, the thing I'm talking about, like a basket, but different, shinier. One of those guys maybe had a beard, probably 2 eyes. They were definitely up to no good. On their way back from this outing, the Triangle Gang broke into the vegan leather testing lab and freed a number of monkeys on whom the fashion was tested.
Okay,
Over the
that
next several
actually,
weeks,
that reality is satire. That news article wouldn't surprise me if I read it.
over the next several weeks, these monkeys were armed with guns, specifically AR-15s, and trained to kill on behalf of Telats and his men. Every time
they're going to play a wicked round of Counter-Strike, aren't they?
This is so convoluted. So they're testing vegan leather on monkeys, but the monkeys are also his soldiers, and they're all toting assault weapons.
Every time the monkeys gun someone down successfully, they may be rewarded with a bucket of bugs. This method of positive reinforcement paid off, and ultimately provided the Triangle Gang with a large number of new, fiercely loyal, and utterly deadly foot soldiers in the war against Los Hombres is Bicicleta. Go ahead.
The bugs and the drugs and the silver spoon. Monkeys in leather and men on the moon.
Every time
during the weeks that followed, bodies from both sides of the conflict turned up in various bizarre places. One of the most baffling for local law enforcement proved to be the discovery of the dismembered corpse of Joey Hannigan, alias Boomer Kaboomer.
Oh, from Mega Man X.
Holy shit, that is a Counter-Strike name.
One of the Triangle Gang's members found in one of those garbage cans they have outside of local businesses, also known as a garbage can, in this case a Hardee's. The body was hacked to pieces and left in a bag from Trader Joe's.
You know, I haven't had Hardee's in like 2 decades, and my stomach still made an involuntary reflex.
What puzzled investigators at the time was that the bag clearly indicated that it came from Albany, New York. Stevo? I thought it was your prompt to complain about a location again. This prompted a wild
no.
chase.
Okay, so Albany's all right. It's Buffalo, New York that sucks. Do not go there for Dingus Day. It is well overrated.
Albany is where they say steamed hams.
This prompted a wild goose chase that set the investigators back nearly a decade overnight. Computer analysis has since proven this was a bad idea. Seeking to counteract the deadly primal fury of the Triangle Gang's monkey assault team, Ramirez used his contacts in the exotic animal trade to procure his own primates, a squadron of trained Canadian diaper demon baboons.
What is with the diaper?
Did you like accidentally put find and replaced a whole bunch of ordinary words with diaper demon?
You would think, but no.
Knowing that he had to protect the cartel's drugs, they were trained to protect them with their lives. However, owing to a previous fiasco wherein nearly 100 blue macaws meant to be sold on the black market became cripplingly addicted to crystal meth, he was sure not to use the drugs in their training. This led to an unprecedented rise in monkey-on-monkey violence within Grand Rapids, Michigan. Things finally came to a head when Fred Dulitz and Romeo Ramirez agreed to meet with one another for a delicious Mexican lunch at a food cart just outside the local Walmart. Normally one of their means for smuggling, they would often transport bricks of hash inside tortas, Mexican sandwiches. The food cart hit a different surprise on that overcast day with a height of 67 degrees Fahrenheit and a maximum wind speed of 7 miles per hour. It was revealed that there was Glock in the quack, and the moment the gun was drawn, men and monkeys from either side rushed into the store to find cover.
This is just hard-boiled, but with monkeys.
Rushed into the store to find cover from which to fire behind.
The bloodshed finally came to an end when Ramirez himself fired an illicit RPG-7 in an attempt to, in his own words, turn the Triangle Gang into a fine red mist. However, the rocket-propelled grenade missed its intended target and instead struck a pet store across the street, hurling countless frogs into the upper atmosphere. Is that a WKR whatever in Cincinnati reference?
It's whatever chat was telling me to do, I'd swear.
As God is my witness, I thought frogs could fly. That night it rained frogs. No, seriously, I'm local and I was there. I've still got one of those frogs. I keep it in a jar by my bedside to remind me of the fragility of nature or some shit. Fallout from the chaos that unfolded between the Triangle Gang and Los Hombres and Bicicleta was almost immeasurable. Countless lives have been lost, but not only between the gangs, but from people caught in the crossfire as well. Walmart had to shut down for a whole month in order to remodel the interior. Our local pet store was gone and you couldn't take a step without kicking an angry frog for a long time. Perhaps worst of all, my favorite local restaurant, Hondo's, was forced to shut down as a result of all the craziness. The surviving members of both gangs were taken into custody the same day as the shootout at Walmart. Walmart. With the only exception being Fred Dullards himself.
I don't know why that's breaking me so much. That is exactly how everybody I know says. It's just Walmart.
Yeah, Walmart.
There's no L. There's no L.
Who has managed to flee the scene in a stolen Walmart delivery truck. Tracking this local vehicle by way of its LoJack anti-theft device, police caught up with Dullards in Ashland, Nebraska.
Oh, Jesus, that's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Yeah, where he was unable to secure the bank loan in order to refuel the truck's gas tank. The weather was particularly fine
in this
Ashland
economy.
With a warm sunshine and a high of 72 degrees Fahrenheit, a cool, refreshing breeze blew through the town. Winds of justice, perhaps? Fred Dullards and Romeo Ramirez were sentenced to life in prison and were forced to share the same cell. The judge also said they had to kiss on camera and let everyone laugh at them for it. It might not be justice the American way, but it was our way, the local way. The monkeys from either side were rounded up and euthanized to prevent them from relapsing into violence against human society. This resulted in hundreds of pounds of monkey meat, which was then given to the local school system for use in their cafeteria's mystery meat. Ramirez was forced to forfeit ownership of his Chinese restaurant, which was then bought out by a couple of Lithuanian dwarves, who turned it into a shoe store. And that's the way it happened. Lord's honest truth. Honest. I'm tired.
Keep insisting and reminding that it was a local man.
Should we read these notes, or is that just
if you want?
I want to at least read the first one to verify that this was in fact influenced by other people. That's
are these
all.
Things that your chat suggested to you that you just
yes, this was the whole page.
Somebody just suggested a Glock in the guac.
Yes.
Meth addicted blue macaws.
I think they catch the local man in Ashland, Nebraska. I think that actually would have been funny if you didn't give him a name and just kept referring to him as the local man.
He's my favorite superhero.
Well, I was originally going to call it the Local Man Gang, but I was told that wasn't good.
Also, I posted an image of it in our little chat. I'm very disappointed that none of y'all came up with names as good as Sleeve McDickle and Bobson Dognut.
Bobson Dognut is the OG.
You know, I went a subtler approach.
Do we have thoughts on what we went through tonight?
I don't anymore, and I've given up on it.
I hated it. When's the next one?
Can we go back to Star Trek?
No, this is great. I enjoyed every single one. Tom, I even enjoyed yours.
What do you mean even?
You're the one that kept saying you thought that it was terrible.
Well, yeah.
So you're getting the answer you wanted, correct?
Oh, okay. I mean, I guess you got me there. Ross Grossman. Right next to Rudolph Bean.
Mike Truck sounds thick as fuck.
Sax Paxton. I like that.
Dwigged Portugal.
Anatoly Smorin.
I feel like Sleeve is what somebody would have called me growing up. Hey, Sleeve.
All right. That's it for today. Thank you to everyone for listening. Please review us on whatever you're listening to us on. It doesn't have to be a good review. If the review is fine. If you're not sure what to say, just say these people are a bunch of sad loser nerd monkeys armed with AR-15s.
No,
and that had to be euthanized.
I implore you, don't do that, because mentioning guns will probably get you banned as a commenter. Instead, pick your favorite fake baseball name from a Super Nintendo baseball game.
Yeah.
And post that.
Until next time.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Clock in the guac.